Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar where we will be talking about data-driven decision-making for CPA firms, how ERP systems can help you stay ahead. Today's program is brought to you by PracticeERP and we are joined by Dirk Shimpa, who will be leading us through the discussion today. My name is Liz Brigson and it's great to be here as your host. I want to give you all a warm welcome and let you know how you can get the most out of today's program. So first of all, if you want to head on over to the questions box, go ahead and say hi and let us know where you're joining from and what you are most looking forward to about the program today. I'll be keeping an eye on the questions box throughout the whole program, and we really enjoy fielding your questions, hearing about your experience, receiving your feedback. So feel free to find that questions box and then go to webinar, say hi. That lets us know that you can hear us and that you know exactly how you can ask questions and provide input on the program today. So I'll continue monitoring that. I want to say hi to Raymond from Webster, New York. Welcome, Raymond. Thanks for joining us today. Ronald's joining us from Maryland. Howdy. Pamela says hello from Pass Christian, Mississippi. It's great to have you all here today. You can download the handouts from today's program. You can just navigate over to the materials drop-down and that will allow you to access the PDF handout of the program today. And we'll launch, today's webinar qualifies for CPE credit. So we will launch 5 polling questions. You'll want to respond to at least 3 out of those 5 polling questions, and you'll be able to access your CPE certificate directly from your Corsa dashboard 1 hour after the program concludes. If you're on LinkedIn, I would like to connect with you, and I'd highly recommend following PracticeERP and connecting with our speaker today. Webinars are fabulous, and they're a great way to build your professional network and just stay in touch with the speakers. So as you have questions come up or a need arises, you know exactly who to go to and who to contact. Also want to say hello to Jeffrey joining us from Hawaii. Great to have you here. And Miriam from Virginia. So welcome all of you. It's great to have you here. It's my pleasure to welcome back Dirk Shimpa, who is a CPA, a former controller, and he is a founding partner of Go Virtual Office with over 20 years experience in CRM, ERP, and accounting software. PracticeERP specifically is an all-in-one CPA firm management software that takes the hassle out of day-to-day operations so you can focus your energy where it matters most. PracticeERP is an all-inclusive platform and it bundles CRM, customer relationship management, client management, time and expense, tracking, billing, and so much more. And we're really excited for you to hear about the data-driven decision-making from Dirk. So Dirk, thank you so much for joining us today. I'll go ahead and turn things over to you and I'll be right here in the background.
Great, thank you very much, Liz. So I'll just introduce myself. My name is Dirk Shimpa. I know Liz already kind of did that. A little background on myself. I am a CPA, although I always tell people you do not want me to do your taxes. I historically been in industry and around ERP and systems more than I've been doing actual public accounting. However, I would say over the last 4 years, I've gotten pretty entrenched in the public accounting space. I really do appreciate this industry and this space, and I feel like there's definitely some opportunities for firms and companies and businesses to operate more efficiently, and that's what we're trying to do here at PracticeERP. So today, basically the content or the topic is around data and making strong business decisions based upon the data that's provided, or the method that the data is provided, or so on and so forth. So we're going to kind of do a deep dive in around data, around analytics, around key measurements for CPA firms to kind of think about. Obviously, we could spend the better part of 2 to 3 days going through all of this stuff in a lot of detail. So this is a high-level intro. Definitely, please post some questions and stuff, and we can get to those at the end. But hopefully, you'll find some valuable content here as we start to proceed. So data, right? All sorts of stats on the importance of data. Data is king. we see it across all sorts of different CPA firms where they don't have good data. It's kind of difficult to make critical decisions or timely decisions. So this is a common piece we see in the CPA space. And the question is, so what is bad data costing you? And again, that's a really hard to put a number on it. But what we do see is like lots of different disparate systems, which I'll talk to here in a second. Getting good data can be very time consuming. Reporting is slow. Anytime you don't have, clear data, accurate data, timely data, well, then, we're not reacting as quickly as we should. We may make an incorrect decision because we have incorrect data. All of those things, and things need to be actionable. Typically, when we have lots of these disparate systems and bad data, I call it spreadsheet hell, right? Just lots and lots of spreadsheets that people live by. So another way to kind of look at this, at least in the CPA space, and we've seen this in other industries, by the way. This is not a CPA industry. This is lots of industries. Take manufacturing, software companies, distribution companies, you name it, other professional services companies. This concept of disparate systems that don't talk to each other is common in lots of industries, as well as within the CPA space. Typically what we see today is that, a CCH or a Thomson Reuters are the more prominent practice management solutions that are used. They're pretty legacy, like they have not changed or evolved in the last 15, 20 years. We see other ones, like Star or Iris and other ones out there, but that also have not really grown or evolved. And your practice management is where your clients, your time, your WIP, your billing, maybe some projects and some project workflow is in there. We do see some firms that have adopted like an XCM, which is a very high-end tax workflow. Again, that typically doesn't talk to your time and billing system. Financials hardly is ever connected, right? So at the end of the month, we go make some journal entries, we go catch up our financials, so on and so forth. CRM, many CPA firms don't use a CRM, even though they would like to. And if they do, again, it's a separate solution. And then, we do see this concept of Power BI to do, to try to get data out in some meaningful manner. And when all of these kind of red lines, we call like the hairball. Basically, anytime you see that, there's manual entry, there's duplicate work. There's just a lot of inefficiencies in this particular scenario. And how all this gets patched together is normally with Excel spreadsheets. Go run this report out of here, run this out of here. Let's have somebody enter it in Excel. There's time issues. Nothing is really accurate. If someone makes a change, the Excel spreadsheet doesn't happen, and so on and so forth. So again, with these various systems, it's really hard to get good data. It's just a fact. The other concept is, right, we keep hearing AI in this industry as well as others. AI is completely data driven, right? It has to have good data. It needs data, or again, the garbage in is garbage out analogy. And again, not to bring up like a CCH or a Thomson Reuters, like they don't let you get at the data very easily, right? So again, if you want to think future, you want to think you being more of a progressive firm, you need to be able to get at your data. You need an AI, a trusted AI tool to get at all of the data and use that in a very meaningful and efficient way. So again, all of this depends on the foundation. That's where your data comes from. So this would be our first poll question. How would you rate your firm's current ability to make data-driven decisions? So I think Liz is going to put up a poll here quickly.
Yes, ready to open that right now. The polling question is open. How would you rate your firm's current ability to make data-driven decisions? So very strong, strong, neutral, somewhat weak, or maybe very weak. Good to just kind of do a pulse check here and get a baseline. And I see your question, Ava, about responding to the polling questions. You should be able to respond to the polling questions whether or not you are in the browser mode or on the desktop application of GoToWebinar. You'll just want to make sure that you toggle to full screen, and that should help you click in your response. So the polling question is open. We have about 84% of responses in from the audience, so I'll give you all about 5 more seconds, and we'll take a look at those results together. All right, thank you, everyone. So let's take a look at the responses here. We have a mix, kind of a bell curve with a distribution towards strong. But Dirk, it looks like we have almost half of the audience kind of here in the middle with neutral. So I think that shows there's a lot of room for improvement. And we have some folks with us who have found a good way to do just that.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, there's a lot of ways you could look. Again, that's data, right? We're looking at data right there. I would read the data that like 60% are neutral or below. So there's definitely some opportunities to review to maybe hopefully improve that going down the road. All right. So benefits of good data, right? Again, I've mentioned the concept of real time. Like as stuff happens, you don't have to wait 5 or 10 days to get some report. You can see and react right away. Accuracy and efficiency. Again, anytime you go from one system to another, you're going to lose accuracy. Again, efficiency is part of that. Productivity. Again, the ability to see and react in real time will make people more productive. What projects do I need to work on? Where I may be like over on hours or maybe behind. Which billing should I focus on, right? All of those things, the more timely you have data, the better you'll be. Control, right? Think about driving a car, and if you have no speedometer, like how are you driving that car, right? So in order to control the firm and know what's going on, you need to have a good speedometer and measure and see where things are at. Collaboration. We have a concept called, basically published dashboards, right? All partners, all managers look at the same metrics. Staff accountants look at the same metrics, right? So, when everyone's looking at the same metrics that are real time, you're going to be able to talk the same language and collaborate as well. And then workflow, right? Just again, having real time data around workflow. So what is the role of an ERP in data-driven decisions? So again, having one centralized database, right? Now we're not pulling data from different areas. I've already mentioned that. We can serve up the right information to the right people at the right time. Pretty simple concept, but isn't very easy to do if you're not on the correct platform. And then when we talk about the right information to the right people, right? A partner would need to see different information than maybe a staff accountant, or a biller who's ready to go bill some projects would need to see different information than a sales rep, right? So it's important to serve the right information to the right people at the right time. So again, an ERP provides that ability, having everything from your CRM to your client management to very robust workflow, integrated time and expenses, billing, all of it hits your GL, payroll and HR, document management, all of that as one central database. Hopefully you can get a feeling of how that will dramatically help reporting and data as well. So I always kind of use this term, right, measure, monitor, and manage. That's really what we're doing here, right? We first have to measure it, then we need to easily and actively monitor it, and then we can manage, right? We can make decisions around whatever the data is telling us. So this is not an extensive list, but what are the different types of metrics, right? How can I look at the data? This is just a pretty solid example of different ways you could look at data, right? We can have dashboards and KPIs, trend analysis, managed by exceptions, scorecards, ratios, benchmarking, the ability to do what ifs, ask AI, all of those things kind of fall into this, and there's others as well. But just to show you some examples, like a management dashboard, this is an example of a managing partner or a CEO dashboard, right? They can see everything about their firm, whether it's the line of business, how, if there's overdue projects, how their AR is trending, their open WIP by partner or open AR by manager, right? And all of those things, all of that key information is just right there. And then the ability to maybe click into other tabs and drill into my specific stuff about my clients or my team, right? So again, this is an example of a dashboard. And ideally, your dashboard, you would be able to filter and group. You could look backwards or forward. You could keep an eye on trends and all sorts of different things. So that's an example of a dashboard. Trend analysis. So there's lots of examples where I want to run maybe a billing and realization report for this period of time for last month, or a utilization report for last month, or sales for last month, right? And that's a point in time report. And yes, that has value, but the ability to trend. So this would be an example of maybe I want to trend production, current year, month over month, and I want to compare with last year at the same time. Or maybe I want to compare it with a goal, right? So if you look at a number just statically, it has some value, but if you can compare it with previous periods with the same time last year, and you can look for trends up or down, and again, be able to quickly identify them and react to them, again, there's a lot of value in that as well. The other one I called out here is the concept of benchmarking, right? This space, there's different survey groups and so on and so forth where you can share data, you can benchmark, and you can kind of set goals, whether the utilization, realization, leverage goals, so on and so forth. Day sales outstanding goals, right? But the concept of benchmark your firm against basically other firms like you in your size, it also has a lot of value. So just those are some, again, concepts: trending and benchmarking. Managed by exception. This one, to be honest, is one of my favorite, right? I'm showing you all sorts of examples of data and graphs and reports, right? And at some point it could be kind of daunting, right? What do I focus on, right? So that's management by exception, right? So show me any projects that are overdue, or show me my overdue projects for my A and B clients. Show me any tax projects or CAS projects that have been sitting on someone's desk for more than 3 days that isn't moving. Show me who's got, like, a manager or partner who's got the highest open WIP that hasn't been billing, or easily click into a team member that missed budget last week, last month, right? And just show me who, if everyone's operating as should be, right, just serve up those exceptions. So again, everyone probably gets that concept, right? Focus on the 20% that's not in the norm, and then if the 80% is running great, then good. This concept of a scorecard, we hear that a lot, right? And you could, we have concepts of a score. A scorecard is basically boil everything down to a single number, if you can, and then use that number to rate, a partner against a partner, or an employee against an employee, or a client against a client, right? So, and there's all sorts of ways to get to a number, a scorecard. But again, it's just another technique to provide focus. Maybe there's an employee that's got a lower score versus a higher score. But I would say this isn't always 100% either, right? I had a discussion with a managing partner a couple of weeks ago, and that particular partner's leverage is pretty low, but his gross profit for his book of business is really high. So, there's some cases where, if that partner's fine operating with his own book of business and a huge GP, and other partners have high leverage, fine. So you can't always use any one of these as an absolute. It's more like a guide. And then ratio analysis, right? I am talking with accountants, so everyone understands ratio analysis. Basically there's some division that's going on, like current ratio or days sales outstanding, right? All of those things. And again, this is something that you could trend as well, would be super valuable, right? Is my DSO going down month over month or up, right? All of those things. I will tell you, like sales per employee, I think is a pretty key one in this space as well as it is in most industries, right? You should continue to see your sales per employee to go up. So this is our second survey or poll.
Great, thanks, Dirk. Let's go ahead and launch this question. The second polling question is on your screen. How often does your firm review KPIs and performance metrics? So is this something that you're keeping in front of you weekly, monthly, or only assessing quarterly or annually, or maybe not at all? While you're all responding to that polling question, Dirk, we had a question come in from Ken in the audience wondering, can your software calculate revenue by hour with fixed fee arrangements for the bookkeeping staff?
Yes, it can.
Excellent. So that sounds like it would be helpful, even with fixed fee projects, to have a chance to look at the engagement economics, how many hours are going in, maybe by role, by staff role. So good question, Ken. Thanks for writing in. And Dirk, thanks for answering it. So I will mark that as answered. And now that we're back with our attention to the polling question, it looks like we have good percentage of the audience who have responded. So if you want to get your response in, go ahead and do that. And let's close the poll and share the results. So Dirk, like you said, data can be analyzed and interpreted in different ways. What do you think about the responses that we see here on the screen?
By the way, I think this is good, right? It's at least looking at it weekly to monthly. So I think that's great. Obviously, you need to watch your metrics. We have another implementation going on right now that their data is a little outdated, and they're going through some cleanup right now. So they're trying to get their partners and their leadership around, doing a better control or watching where things are at. So
definitely, and having it in front of you in an easy to access place, that certainly can help if you don't have to have a lot of folks working hard to produce those numbers. If they're already available, you can definitely look at them much more frequently.
Yeah, great. So metrics that really matter. Let's talk about this space. You guys know most of them or all of them, but maybe there's a few here that may jump out at you. I kind of put them in buckets. Clients related metrics, employee related metrics, project related, and some of these do cross over each other. Obviously financial performance, and then cash, right? Cash is king. So some client related metrics, right? Do they pay timely? How does it affect cash flow, right? I mentioned DSO, for instance, or average days to pay. We all look at our AR on a pretty regular basis. How difficult is the work? And difficulty in itself isn't a bad thing, right? But is the work they give us organized? Like, do we have to do a lot of back and forth? to get the information from them, all of those kind of things, right? So if your client is organized, it definitely would help you be organized. And again, if there's difficult work, right, you can bill more, you can charge more, all of those things if you have the right team. This one, to be honest, is a big one. Do I want to work with them, right? We all have probably, at least in this space, from what I hear, you all have more clients than you know what to do with. So, life is short. No one wants to work with a turd per se. So, do you want to work with them? Is the client happy, right? Think of NPS scores, so on and so forth, right? Are you providing good services? Are they referring you to other clients? All of those kind of things are really important. How much do they contribute to the total revenue? Are they a profitable client, right? Can you run gross profit reports by client or gross profit per hours by client? And again, this would be a trending thing, right? Is that client becoming more or less profitable, right? How does that trending work? This one, to be honest, is a pretty big one, right? More and more firms are getting into CAS and advisory and all sorts of other services offering wealth, payroll maybe. So ideally, you've already established this relationship with your client. Are you upselling? Is that client doing more with you, right? And again, I know firms are getting into this kind of value-based billing and packaging services together and so on and so forth. But ideally, if it's a A/B client, you want them to do more with you. And how well is like your team upselling and those kind of things, and we'll talk about that. So again, all of these things can be played into a scorecard, for instance, to come up with a single number. They can be put into more or less an engine to generate a grade, an A, B, C, D automatically, so there's all sorts of different things. But these are kind of some of the key things I think you would want to watch at the customer level. Employee metrics. Again, is a given employee profitable? Are they producing more revenue? Do they work? How many hours do they bill? I purposely crossed this out. I'm sure you guys have been to a number of webinars and sessions about Michelle Golden with 4 LLC. She's a big advocate of stop billing hours, get to value-based billing. And there is I think this next era, if firms can get away from the billable hour and everything around the billable hour, I think firms will be more profitable. They'll operate more efficiently. All sorts of good things will happen, but it is a mind shift. But we can't ignore it today because it is still basically the number one measurement that gets used. What is the quality of their work, right? Is there rework? It's done, it's good, the client is happy. Is it on time? I will tell you, I was in a seminar years ago, and on time is the number one measurement for any professional services team. And the reason is, if a project is on time, number one, there's more capacity to go do more work. If it's on time, there's not rework. It's probably not out of scope. There's just so many things tied to on time that affects everything else. So again, I would focus on time, and there'll be a bunch of other metrics that'll just happen in a very positive way. Our team members growing professionally, right? We have a concept of difficulty level on a project. Say it's 11, 20, or so. If I worked on 2s last year, I should be working on 3s, right? I should, in kind of that whole concept of leverage, right? I should be growing professionally, and I should be continuing to be challenging myself, right? If I'm not challenged, I'm not growing. Is basically a golden rule. Again, coaching, leverage, all of that is there. And again, do I want to work? Do I enjoy working with them? Right? We all want to enjoy who we're working with on a day-to-day basis. So those are some employee metrics. This is an example of, again, this would be a trend analysis. This is hours based, but we have a concept of weekly billable hours, and if someone is trending green, they're exceeding their hours. If they're trending yellow, right, that week, they missed their budget, and if they're red, they really missed budget, right? So this would be an example where you could see a team member that was trending green, all of a sudden they went yellow, orange, like, well, what happened with this particular team member, right? So again, this is just an example of a trend analysis to quickly spot something. This is another example around, employees themselves, right? They care about their team members, they care about their clients, they don't want to let clients down, they don't want to let team down. They need to be served up the right work at the right time. They want meaningful work, right? If I'm a newbie, I probably need to be doing ones or twos, where if I've been a very senior person, right, give me something a little more challenging, right? Give me a 4 or 5. Prioritize, right? I want to make sure I take care of my A clients first, and then maybe if I get some time, I'll worry about the C's and D's. What's my objective, right? Is this project or this task supposed to take me 2 hours or 10 hours? How do I know? Well, it'd be nice if I had a guide, like, oh, this thing should take me 2 hours based upon last year. So again, the ability to not micromanage, serve up the right information at the right time, it can happen in a lot of different ways. This is another example of an all-encompassing employee dashboard. Like, think of review time, and I want to look at their hours and utilization and production. I want to compare it to last year, compare it to goal. I want to look at their realization and compare it to last year and goal. And again, having all of that data in one view, can help. Okay. So some other metrics, like, this is still employee based, right? But it's kind of, think of them as a partner or a manager. Is a partner or a manager, are they hiring? Are they training? Are they mentoring, right? That concept around leverage, are they pushing work down? Are they bringing in new clients, right? New clients this year versus last year. New revenue related to new clients versus last year. Are they minimizing the loss of A and B? Like, are they taking care of their A and B clients? And what was the lost revenue for A and B clients this year versus last year, right? Stuff like that. Again, I talked about, are they upselling? Are they suggesting other lines of businesses within the firm? Are they limiting write-downs? All of those kind of things. Again, can you measure gross profit by client? And is that gross profit for their book of business going up or down? Are they upselling? What does their open WIP look like, right? Open WIP in itself is not bad as long as they're progress billing. So what is their net WIP billing? And how does that compare to other partners or managers? And is that trending up or down? And do their clients pay timely? Same thing, right? Are they staying on top of their AR? Are they making phone calls and emails and all of those things? So this is just an example of a partner dashboard where they could, look at their clients and look at trends for, hours or utilizations or billings or different things. So, okay, project metrics. So same thing. Again, this is a huge one. I think over time, really look at your sales and profitability by project or project type, right? You should continue to see year over year your projects and your project types and your revenue and your gross profit go up. Which industries or niches am I, right? I'm really strong in hospitality, but finance and banking I'm not, right? So which industries do you, and by the way, go now, if these industries were really profitable, really good at, now you can start doing a marketing campaign, or you can do some business development activities in those industries. Are clients using other projects and services with us, right? I kind of repeated that one over. Are they on time? I already talked about on time and the importance of that. And are we getting more efficient, right? Are we completing 1040s or 1120s or monthly bookkeeping at a faster rate than we did last year or last month, right? Again, that's an example of trending. All very good information. So this is an example of, basically hours or production by industry, right? So again, once you have the data, it's super easy to slice and dice, but you need all of that data in one spot. Okay, so which financial metrics do you watch most? So I will tell you that these are in this order purposely. Leverage and revenue unrelated to time are the most basically drive profit at a higher importance than utilization or realization. Same thing with average charge hour. So, and this concept of annual recurring revenue and value-based billing, again, getting things under contract, super important. So utilization, I'm still going to talk about these because these, this has just been out there forever, so I can't ignore them. Although we recommend for firms to kind of move off of the billable hour eventually. In order to get good utilization, you need to set employee goals, right? So we have a concept called weekly budgets versus monthly budgets. So weekly, you can see if, or a team member can see if they're missing or making budget, right? Not at the end of the month, timely. Eliminate non-billable tasks, right? So again, having a single system should make things more efficient. So more billable, less admin. Automate anywhere you can. The more you automate, the more people are billing and taking care of a client. Again, I already talked about right people, right work, right time. The other thing is like super high utilization can be bad, right? You may be someone may be overworked, stressed, too many hours, too many billable hours, too many clients, too many projects, and eventually that team member may move on, right, or so on. So again, super high utilization isn't good either. But again, the ability to see all this and measure this is of value. Realization average rate, and I kind of highlighting gross profit because I kind of put leverage and gross profit right up towards the top. The ability to truly look at your gross profit by client, by employee, by industry, by client grade, right? All of those things are very important. But how do we improve realization, right? Training, continue to help your team members grow. If you can improve your billing multiples, focus on A and B clients, and again, calling some of your C's and D clients as well. Focus on your more profitable clients that you'd like to work with. So again, we definitely preach leverage. We have leverage reports. And I don't know if you've attended any of our other webinars, but we brought this slide up before. The Rosenberg survey, and they've been very consistent as far as what drives profitability. And you'll see fees per partner, ratio per staff, fees per person, partner billing rate, like those generally are leverage associated. They drive profit. You'll see where realization and utilization are basically number 5 and 7, right? They normally towards the end. So this industry historically looks only at utilization and realization, and we're trying to get people to kind of think about maybe look at gross profit, maybe look at leverage, because they actually will help drive profitability more than those two measures. And this is just another example of that. So what are some tactics to improve leverage? Hiring, training, employee growth, right? So I already talked about, difficulty level on a project, right? So if I worked on 2s, I better be working on 3s this year and 4s next year. And there should be some support structure to help me do that. Pushing work down, right? If partners, if partners are working on, not partners, just say senior people are doing all the easy work and not the hard work, right? They need to push work down to help the team grow. This whole concept of shadowing, right? If never attend a meeting alone, right? I'm a very senior person. There's always going to be a junior person in a meeting with me, right? On phone calls, so on and so forth. That's kind of the one-on-one meetings. There's always been this focus. Well, you're 5 years, you got to hit budget. You have to hit budget. Reverse that, right? Do everything you can to help your junior people hit budget. And maybe there's some sort of exception or understanding if they're spending time training and leverage that the more senior people may not hit budget or their budget is less. And again, firm clients, not partner clients, and so on and so forth. And this definitely is a trending thing. Like the way we handle it is we look back at the last 12 months, and every 12 months we do a look back, and then this should just continue to be growing, right? This is a journey. It's not definitely a sprint. All right, so this is our next poll question.
We'll go ahead and launch this polling question. This is our third polling question. The question is, which KPI does your firm find most challenging to track effectively? Would that be realization rate, leverage ratio, client profitability, operational efficiency, or maybe if you don't track KPIs, you can let us know. That's all right. I wanted to call out a question from Ronald. Before you got to that whole section on leverage, Dirk, Ronald was asking, how do you define leverage? And I think that you covered that really well in those last few slides, that leverage is, summarized as staff efficiency, but there's the Rosenberg ratios that you shared and many other ways to measure leverage and to analyze that. And you also shared some qualitative factors about, why leverage might be high or why it might be low. So it's good to track it and trend it, but also to understand, who you're measuring and, where their affinity and aptitude might lie.
Yeah, there's lots of ways to measure leverage. I've sat with managing partners and we've talked through different scenarios. I will tell you the way we've landed on it is we take a partner, and then you could do the same thing for a manager. It doesn't matter, but take a partner and they have clients that they're assigned to, right? Their book of business, whatever your term is. So you basically look at total revenue that book of business brings in compared to the hours, the actual billable hours that partner worked on that book of business. So in theory, if you got more team members working on that book of business and billing for that book of business and you have less hours as a partner, your leverage is going to be higher. So that is more or less the math that we look at.
Let's go ahead and close the polling question, and the results are on the screen. Which KPI does your firm find most challenging to track effectively? So definitely a mix here, kind of responses spread across the board.
Again, I'm an ERP guy. That tells me the reason is because the group as a whole has a bunch of different systems and it's hard to pull that data together.
Yeah.
That would be my guess in that particular scenario.
That makes sense.
All right. So the last one is around cash, right? Cash is king. In the end, if we don't have cash, we can't operate. So a couple things around cash, right? Your aged WIP, your aged AR. Again, the ability to look at those by office, by manager, by partner, and easily see who needs to make some phone calls and do some stuff. What's your current cash forecast looking like based upon receivables and payables and so on and so forth. All of those things. And I know we kind of talked about this is one we brought up in the past, historically partners and firms, they, at the end of the year, they take a bunch of cash out for their distributions, which I get, right? Everyone works hard. Sometimes we kind of maybe you leave some dollars for growth of the firm, right? Whatever those main objectives are. So again, that's just something to kind of think about, as maybe not as much distributions, but continue to invest in your firm. So WIP, this literally is a depreciating asset. Think of driving a brand new car off the lot. It is, the longer it sits there, the worse it gets, right? There's the term, bad news never gets better with time. So it's super important to see where WIP is at, and the aging of it. And again, we highlight based upon age and dollar amount, right? So if you get time, bill your highest, oldest stuff first, all of that stuff. But you can have WIP if you're ready. If we're doing progress bills on a regular basis, it's really the net WIP that's very important here. And the other concept is around, like we talk about value-based billing. And eventually, if you get to value-based billing, you quote up front, you bill up front, they pay up front before you even do the work. And I know it's a panacea, but you could get to 0 AR, which I think someday we can. I think we'll be able to do that. And then same thing around AR is a big issue, right? So, should I be working on a project, right? So we serve up if there's an overdue balance on a client. Well, this client hasn't paid in 80 days. Why am I working on his or her project? The ability to email invoices, statements, auto email every 30 days. The ability for a client to easily click, make a payment, automatically clear the receivable, like no one has to do anything at all besides watch the bank balance grow. All of those things can help bring down DSO pretty greatly. And then again, the more cash that comes in, the more you can invest, the more you can take distributions, So again, the ability to see where your AR is at, how that's trending by client, by firm in total, so on and so forth, having all of that, at your fingertips is very important. All right, this is our next, second to last survey.
Sounds good. Let's get this one launched. What is your firm's biggest opportunity for leveraging real-time data? Great question for reflection. Would real-time data help you improve your client service and profitability, enhance operational efficiency, strengthen your financial forecasting, help with the optimization of staff utilization, or all of the above? So where do you see your firm's biggest opportunity? Dirk, what type of feedback do you hear from clients who are putting PracticeERP in place and finding, like, where are they finding, what type of feedback are you hearing that they're saying, hey, I was so delighted by the efficiency and the opportunity that I found in these areas?
For sure, operational efficiency happens. That's just a result of having all of these systems as one. Same thing with staff utilization, right? They now know what to work on, so that typically their production hours and utilization goes up. And then financially, you can run an income statement at any time. I can run an income statement through yesterday. How am I doing?
Definitely much more real time than data that we've had access to in the past. Let's take a look at the results. So we'll close the poll, share the results. It's hard to choose from this list, isn't it? This is a list where it's like, please, I can find opportunities in every area. Let's choose all. And I think that's the beauty of what you're talking about today, right? Is PracticeERP allows for that full view and the full dashboard to access real-time data in each of these areas.
Yeah, I would say it's probably a loaded question, right? So anyways, we'll keep moving. So just a couple more slides, right? Just to conclude, faster decisions, real-time data, better accuracy, right? You've heard me talk about that over and over again. Improve client services, right? Clients can get data. You'll be able to react quicker to them. You'll be able to answer questions, so on and so forth. So client service, we talked about efficiency, risk mitigation, right? Just having that data around should help reduce risk in various areas, and the ability to see opportunities. I know I talked about, like, is that client doing, are they utilizing additional services, right? The concept was, you know, it's easy to run what they're using, but I sometimes use the concept of, give me a whitelist, show me all of the clients that aren't using these services, right? So what's the reverse? So the ability to do the reverse help with, basically, is what called the whitelist, would be an example of that. Yeah, this is, I can hang on for some questions here. If anybody has any questions, we can continue on. But
All right.
that's the main presentation.
Yeah, that's fabulous, Dirk. Thank you so much. And we have had a chance to reply to several audience questions so far, and we do have time for more. I want to double check. I think that we will have one more polling question. So would you like to go ahead and do that one now?
Sure.
All right. So love these follow-up questions. What next steps will your firm take based on today's webinar? So this is the fifth and final polling question. And for next steps, does this really lead you to evaluate and upgrade, have that desire to upgrade your ERP system to have better visibility, better data for decision making? Imagine a partner meeting where you can sit down and look at a dashboard in real time instead of having days of analysts or accountants taking time to try to assemble the data for those meetings. Help with the KPI tracking and reporting, developing a data-driven decision-making strategy, explore additional training resources on ERP and data. If you're not sure, that's okay. It's just a chance to kind of think about where you're at today and what's possible and what having good visibility enables and what types of doors it opens. So this is the fifth and final polling question. Go ahead and respond to that. And we're going to go ahead and move over to the questions box and read some of the questions that are coming in. So David, thanks for your question. David says, how does the system interact with third-party systems? So for example, David and his firm are on the Laurel time entry system. How would that work together? Or maybe one would no longer be needed, but let's open the door for that question.
Yeah, so Laurel is, it's the AI driven one. We have had communications with them. We will be able to integrate with Laurel. By the way, that's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, and Dirk, this is what we were talking about before the webinar started then?
Yes.
During the prep. And for anyone on the audience who's not familiar, do you want to just provide a quick recap? Because it sounds like this is new AI technology.
Yeah, so again, we're not part of Laurel, but it's, so what it does is basically it watches someone work on their laptop, emails, and I probably can't explain it or won't explain it as well as I should, but all of the applications, anything that you interact with, and then it serves up and suggests time entries based upon, basically the activities that are happening on a laptop or a computer. So in this example, this would, it can pick up client names. It tries, again, it's using AI to match various things, and then it can create a time record. So we have had discussions with them.
Yeah, interesting. That's cool, Dirk. And thanks for responding to David's question. David said, that's really good to hear. And I think that's neat, Dirk. You and your team are really always like on the leading edge, having those conversations, meeting with people who have like different AI applications, and partnerships is a really big deal for you and your firm and your whole team, isn't it?
Yeah, what I would say about PracticeERP in our group, we're definitely trying to be, or are, very progressive, right? We have a relationship with a group called WorkHero, which is a leading cloud-based client portal client collaboration. It's a whole replacement of it's a bunch of tech in itself. We have collaborations with payment automation tools. We're talking with Laurel AI. We have a relationship with kind of what we call the last mile of tax to help automate the safe send process. Yeah, and there's more coming. So yeah, we feel like there's a lot of opportunity to help out this space.
It's fabulous. And to be able to do that and build that with scale and roll it out to serve many accounting firms is so much more efficient than one accounting firm trying to do this on their own for themselves, right? Like, these are great ideas, each of these steps. Like, the next steps, just speaking specifically to the polling question results, like more than half the audience is like, yes, I have a next step. And it's going to be one of these things, whether it's evaluating and upgrading, improving KPIs, helping make better decisions, improving the training, and knowing that there's a group who's leading and can be a great resource is fabulous. So thanks everyone for responding to that polling question. Now, Dirk, a common question, right? You hear about something that's very impactful, like PracticeERP. A common question is, how much time does it take, right? If you want a one cloud solution, PracticeERP is built for you, it's ready to go, but what does the process look like from the time someone starts the exploration process and moves through implementation to having it ready to go, where your new staff members are onboarding, clicking through and using these features?
Yeah, very good question. I will tell you, our team, we take a very proactive approach. We don't here's the software, go figure it out. It's just the opposite. We own the data conversion. We have kind of what we call personalization sessions. We're there for go live. We're there post go live. Client delight is one of our main words at PracticeERP. That being said, I would say a firm, let's say 50 to 150 employees, we can usually have them up within 2 months, 3 months at the most. Maybe a firm closer to 300, we would be, it'd probably be 3 to 4 months. But we're very efficient at what we do. We have experts that, like I said, can own the data, the training and all of that stuff. So
that's fabulous. And what does the training look like? That's something that I think is really important. We talk about professional development, but professional development doesn't always look like, a CPE webinar, right? Professional development can often look like working with an expert and implementing a new solution and learning from that person as a guide. So as you go through that 3 to 4 months, how much time does, say, a CPA firm leader who's implementing this get to spend with someone on your team to really learn the ins and outs of how it works?
Yeah, through the implementation process, a firm normally has what I would call a champion, 1 or 2 people that are, they're kind of the leaders on that side. As far as our training goes, and they get to work very close with us, by the way, we work super close because it's the training really starts with what we call the My Workspace, and that's for the staff accountants, right? The producers. Literally, we have a couple sessions so they can get comfortable, but usually within day 1, go live, within 2 hours, they're up and running, working on projects, entering time, producing, right? That's our number one goal, make sure producers can produce.
Yes.
And then over time, we work with the billers and we work with the task flow admins and we work with the, whoever's doing the financials and the controller, and those we have special sessions kind of in, following the next week or the couple weeks. And again, the whole goal is enablement, get people stable and happy. So
that's awesome. Now, I know we're running up to time here. I know you have a couple more slides that kind of provide an overview of this, and then we'll get to the closing.
Yeah, so again, we are not a hard sell group. So, if you're curious to learn more, please give us a call. I promise you we're not a hard sell group at all. And we do have a process we can take you through. And we'd love to have a conversation. And again, you have these slides, so, feel free to, look through them. Yeah, and we're here. We're also, by the way, we're a NetSuite partner. We're an Acumatica partner. So we have expertise around ERP systems in whole too.
Excellent. Well, we're at time. David, I'm going to recommend that you take your question and that you have a chance to follow up with the PracticeERP team so that you can talk through implementation a little further. But Dirk, thank you so much for spending time with us today to talk about data-driven decisions and talking through the metrics and just really showing us what's possible. It's been great to have you here today. Thank you to our audience for your questions. And I'll just share a few quick items as we close. When you close GoToWebinar, a course survey will pop up on your screen. We always appreciate your feedback, so please take a moment to fill that out. Reminder that your CPE certificate will populate in 1 hour straight to your in-course dashboard. And also to your in-course dashboard, you'll have access to the slides if you want to take them, reference them, share them with your colleagues, and have some discussions. We encourage you to do that, and the recording also will be available to you as a resource. So thank you all so much. I hope you have a great rest of the day.